about building a future-ready nation. Our today has a strong foundation with community at its core. Our today is dedicated to the communities we serve. Today is always about more than just today. Our today is a continuous journey for a better tomorrow. Tata, leadership with trust.
सर, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता। साहब, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता। हुजूर, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता।
अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान।
अपनों को खुशियां दिलाना आसान नहीं बनाते तो आगे कैसे बढ़ते। इसीलिए हम जो भी करते हैं उसे बेहतर बनाते आ रहे हैं, बनाते रहेंगे। बजाज फिनसर्व, थिंक इट डन।
आने वाले कल की दस्तक हमें सुनाई देती है, नई मंजिल है जिस ओर हमें वो दिशा दिखाई देती है। नए इंडिया का नया जोश, नए इंडिया का नया जोश, नए जोश से निकल पड़े हम, आने वाला कल होगा हमारा। नए इंडिया का नया जोश।
और नए इंडिया के इस सफर में टेक्नोलॉजी की शक्ति लेकर आपका भागीदार रहेगा रिलायंस। रिलायंस, नए इंडिया का नया जोश।
Welcome to the world of Tata Steel, a flagship company of the global business conglomerate, the Tata Group. Tata Steel is one of the world's most geographically diversified steel producers, with operations and commercial presence across the world. The story began with the dream of one man, Jamsetji Nusserwanji Tata, a pioneer, a visionary, a man ahead of his times. He had his heart set on building a steel plant in India that would compare with the best globally. His dream was brought to fruition by his son, Dorabji Tata, and thus was born Tata Iron and Steel in Jamshedpur in 1907. At the turn of the 21st century, fueled by its global aspirations, Tata Steel expanded its footprint to Southeast Asia in Singapore and Thailand. Acquisition of Chorus in Europe in 2007 placed it amongst the top global steel companies in the world. In 2015, Tata Steel set up a state-of-the-art integrated steel plant at Kalinganagar Odisha in India. The Phase 2 expansion of Kalinganagar steel plant from 3 million TPA to 8 million TPA is currently underway. The company is all set to pursue domestic growth with its acquisition of Bhushan Steel Limited and the steel business of Usha Martin. This forms part of the overall strategy to increase its India footprint, build capacity in long products, and enrich the product portfolio. Besides steel manufacturing facilities, the company has mining assets in the state of Jharkhand and Odisha in India. Tata Steel has evolved into a leading steel manufacturer, catering to diverse market segments. In its trend-setting journey, spanning more than a century, Tata Steel has contributed immensely towards the well-being of the planet and people. Guided by its vision to be the global steel industry benchmark for value creation and corporate citizenship, Tata Steel is poised to lead the future.
सुरक्षा हर पिच पर, ताकत लंबी पारी खेलने की, परफेक्ट फिट, क्वालिटी टेस्ट। मैच से पहले ये सारे चेक्स बहुत जरूरी होते हैं, ठीक वैसे जैसे घर की छत चूज करते समय। तो बस ले आइए JSW कलर ऑन प्लस की छत, जो दे आपके घर को मजबूती और सुरक्षा। JSW कलर ऑन प्लस, सुंदर छत सालों साल।
JSW न्यू स्टील TMT सरिया बेस्ट है।
सरिया दिखता कहाँ है?
ये देखिए बेस्ट क्वालिटी।
चेस्ट गार्ड है, दिखता कहाँ है?
दिखता नहीं तो कुछ भी लगाओगे क्या? ये देना। JSW न्यू स्टील TMT बार, प्योर स्टील, मजबूत घर।
ये दीवारें जानती हैं हर शुरुआत का पता। एक नई सोच के साथ अपने सपने की सुबह।
जब उम्मीद मिलाए हिम्मत से हाथ, हर सपने को मिले मजबूती का साथ।
आओ बनाए हर सपने को मजबूत JSW सीमेंट के साथ। JSW सीमेंट, द लीडर्स चॉइस।
कभी हिंदुस्तान के रंगों के बारे में सोचा है? लाल, पीला, हरा, नीला। तो चलो मिलकर इस रंगीन चादर को फिर से सिलते हैं। जो तेरा वो मेरा, और जो मेरा वो सबका। इसीलिए पहली बार JSW पेंट्स लाए हैं 1808 शेड्स एक ही प्राइस पर। JSW पेंट्स, थिंक ब्यूटीफुल।
In 1868, the Tata Group was founded on a philosophy that put the community at the heart of its existence. Today, we are a $100 billion global enterprise. Our today has been built on enduring values. is about delivering excellence across business sectors. Today is about building a future-ready nation. Our today has a strong foundation with community at its core. Our today is dedicated to the communities we serve. Today is always about more than just today. Our today is a continuous journey for a better tomorrow. Tata, leadership with trust.
सर, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता। साहब, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता। हुजूर, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता।
अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान।
अपनों को खुशियां दिलाना आसान नहीं बनाते तो आगे कैसे बढ़ते। इसीलिए हम जो भी करते हैं उसे बेहतर बनाते आ रहे हैं, बनाते रहेंगे। बजाज फिनसर्व, थिंक इट डन।
आने वाले कल की दस्तक हमें सुनाई देती है, नई मंजिल है जिस ओर हमें वो दिशा दिखाई देती है। नए इंडिया का नया जोश, नए इंडिया का नया जोश, नए जोश से निकल पड़े हम, आने वाला कल होगा हमारा। नए इंडिया का नया जोश।
और नए इंडिया के इस सफर में टेक्नोलॉजी की शक्ति लेकर आपका भागीदार रहेगा रिलायंस। रिलायंस, नए इंडिया का नया जोश।
Welcome to the world of Tata Steel, a flagship company of the global business conglomerate, the Tata Group. Tata Steel is one of the world's most geographically diversified steel producers, with operations and commercial presence across the world. The story began with the dream of one man, Jamsetji Nusserwanji Tata, a pioneer, a visionary, a man ahead of his times. He had his heart set on building a steel plant in India that would compare with the best globally. His dream was brought to fruition by his son, Dorabji Tata, and thus was born Tata Iron and Steel in Jamshedpur in 1907. At the turn of the 21st century, fueled by its global aspirations, Tata Steel expanded its footprint to Southeast Asia in Singapore and Thailand. Acquisition of Chorus in Europe in 2007 placed it amongst the top global steel companies in the world. In 2015, Tata Steel set up a state-of-the-art integrated steel plant at Kalinganagar, Odisha in India. The Phase 2 expansion of Kalinganagar steel plant from 3 million TPA to 8 million TPA is currently underway. The company is all set to pursue domestic growth with its acquisition of Bhushan Steel Limited and the steel business of Usha Martin. This forms part of the overall strategy to increase its India footprint, build capacity in long products, and enrich the product portfolio. Besides steel manufacturing facilities, the company has mining assets in the state of Jharkhand and Odisha in India. Tata Steel has evolved into a leading steel manufacturer, catering to diverse market segments. In its trend-setting journey, spanning more than a century, Tata Steel has contributed immensely towards the well-being of the planet and people. Guided by its vision to be the global steel industry benchmark for value creation and corporate citizenship, Tata Steel is poised to lead the future.
सुरक्षा हर पिच पर, ताकत लंबी पारी खेलने की, परफेक्ट फिट, क्वालिटी टेस्ट, मैच से पहले ये सारे चेक्स बहुत जरूरी होते हैं, ठीक वैसे जैसे घर की छत चूज करते समय। तो बस ले आइए GSW कलर ऑन प्लस की छत, जो दे आपके घर को मजबूती और सुरक्षा। GSW कलर ऑन प्लस, सुंदर छत सालों साल।
GSW न्यू स्टील TMT सरिया बेस्ट है।
सरिया दिखता कहाँ है?
ये देखिए बेस्ट क्वालिटी।
चेस्ट गार्ड है, दिखता कहाँ है?
दिखता नहीं तो कुछ भी लगाओगे क्या? ये देना। JSW न्यू स्टील TMT बार, प्योर स्टील, मजबूत घर।
ये दीवारें जानती हैं हर शुरुआत का पता। एक नई सोच के साथ अपने सपने की सुबह।
जब उम्मीद मिलाए हिम्मत से हाथ, हर सपने को मिले मजबूती का साथ।
आओ बनाए हर सपने को मजबूत JSW सीमेंट के साथ। JSW सीमेंट, द लीडर्स चॉइस।
कभी हिंदुस्तान के रंगों के बारे में सोचा है? लाल, पीला, हरा, नीला। तो चलो मिलकर इस रंगीन चादर को फिर से सिलते हैं, जो तेरा वो मेरा और जो मेरा वो सबका। इसीलिए पहली बार JSW पेंट्स लाए हैं 1808 शेड्स एक ही प्राइस पर। JSW पेंट्स, थिंक ब्यूटीफुल।
In 1868, the Tata Group was founded on a philosophy that put the community at the heart of its existence. Today, we are $100 billion global enterprise. Our today has been built on enduring values. Our today is about delivering excellence across business sectors.
In its trend-setting journey, spanning more than a century, Tata Steel has contributed immensely towards the well-being of the planet and people. Guided by its vision to be the global steel industry benchmark for value creation and corporate citizenship, Tata Steel is poised to lead the future.
सुरक्षा हर पिच पर, ताकत लंबी पारी खेलने की, परफेक्ट फिट, क्वालिटी टेस्ट। मैच से पहले ये सारे चेक्स बहुत जरूरी होते हैं, ठीक वैसे जैसे घर की छत चूज करते समय। तो बस ले आइए GSW कलर ऑन प्लस की छत, जो दे आपके घर को मजबूती और सुरक्षा। GSW कलर ऑन प्लस, सुंदर छत सालों साल।
GSW नियो स्टील TMT सरिया बेस्ट है।
सरिया दिखता कहाँ है?
ये देखिए बेस्ट क्वालिटी।
चेस्ट गार्ड है, दिखता कहाँ है?
दिखता नहीं तो कुछ भी लगाओगे क्या? ये देना। JSW नियो स्टील TMT बार, प्योर स्टील, मजबूत घर।
ये दीवारें जानती हैं हर शुरुआत का पता। एक नई सोच के साथ अपने सपने की सुबह।
जब उम्मीद मिलाए हिम्मत से हाथ, हर सपने को मिले मजबूती का साथ।
आओ बनाए हर सपने को मजबूत JSW सीमेंट के साथ। JSW सीमेंट, द लीडर्स चॉइस।
कभी हिंदुस्तान के रंगों के बारे में सोचा है? लाल, पीला, हरा, नीला। तो चलो मिलकर इस रंगीन चादर को फिर से सिलते हैं। जो तेरा वो मेरा, और जो मेरा वो सबका। इसीलिए पहली बार JSW पेंट्स लाए हैं 1808 शेड्स एक ही प्राइस पर। JSW पेंट्स, थिंक ब्यूटीफुल।
In 1868, the Tata Group was founded on a philosophy that put the community at the heart of its existence. Today, we are $100 billion global enterprise
houses.
Ah, okay, of course, yes. Good afternoon. I see we have the Right Honorable Liz Truss with us as well. Good afternoon, ma'am. This is Sanjeev Bajaj from India, and I'm the, well, good morning as well, and I'm the moderator for today. Hi, I think you may be on mute.
I think I'm off mute now.
Yes, we can hear you now clearly.
Good, excellent.
Minister, hi, Liz.
Minister Goyal should be joining any minute.
Have you made your speech, the equality speech you were making, has that happened or going to happen later today?
That's next after this.
Ah, okay.
That's at 2 o'clock. I like to keep busy.
Well, good luck with that.
Forward to that. Liz, really looking forward to it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live with this session now, and good afternoon to our Minister Piyush Goyal. A very warm welcome to our guests, the Right Honorable Liz Truss, the Secretary of State for International Trade and President of the Board of Trade of the UK, and a very warm welcome to our other guests from the UK on the panel, Richard Held, Group Chair, UKIBC, Lord Karan Bilimoria, President of the Confederation of British Industry, Lord Jitesh Gadia, Member of Parliament, and Baroness Sandeep Verma, again Member of Parliament and Member of the European Union Parliamentary Committee and Chair of the Parliamentary EU Goods Subcommittee, UK. Welcome once again. As we count down to Brexit, we look forward to discussing the contours of the India-UK Economic Partnership at this summit of CII. In a year which coincides with our 125th year, there's a 125th year of CII. I would like to thank our Honorable Minister of Commerce, Industry, Railways, and so many things that I wonder how he gets the time to still come in for these sessions, and he was probably doing another one before he came in. But to Mr. Piyush Goyal for his vision and leadership in further strengthening the relationship between India, the UK, and so many other leading economies around the world. Ordinarily, we would be hosting you in person, and as Lord Gadia said, at the Taj Palace in Delhi in all probability. But for the reasons of the pandemic, we are here virtually. It is, however, a matter of pride to us that we will welcome Prime Minister Boris Johnson in January for our Republic Day parade as our chief guest. We look forward to that. Now, this current pandemic has changed the way in which we live, we work, the way we interact with each other. And while it has limited physical travel, technology has become the next enabler in building new bridges and bringing us all closer together. May I take the opportunity to congratulate the UK government for becoming the first country anywhere in the world to kick off the COVID-19 vaccination program. UK and India are among the largest investors in each other's economies. I believe the UK stands as the sixth largest inward investor in India, while India now has a record 850 Indian companies operating in the UK with combined revenues of over 40 billion pounds and employment to over 110,000 people. This shows the continued importance of the contribution that companies in either country are making towards our own economies. Significant progress has been made in India over the last 5-6 years in the ease of doing business. And this is across multiple areas. Our high-level bureaucratic procedures have been simplified, multiple laws have been simplified and repealed. We have been instituting market reforms and implementing effective and transparent processes to attract foreign investment. This has also enhanced opportunity, we believe, for so many UK investors, whether in defense, automotive, pharmaceutical, or other industries. Today in this session, we hope to evaluate 3 areas which will further help in strengthening the economic partnership between our 2 countries. 1, the contours of the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. 2nd, ease of doing business between India and the UK and its imminent impact on our supply chains, particularly for key priority sectors, for trading arrangements and associated market reform. And finally, the ease of mobility in the context of both the post-pandemic and the post-Brexit landscape. In order to kick off these discussions, I would first like to invite Baroness Sandeep Verma to make her remarks. The Baroness has been deeply involved with the EU, and we look forward to hearing from her about what the likely contours of a future UK-EU partnership or relationship are likely to be. Over to you, Baroness Verma.
Thank you so very much, Sanjeev, and good morning and good afternoon to everyone. It is a great pleasure to see my dear friend, the Right Honourable Minister Piyush Goyal, who I've known for a long time, and it's really great to see him. I know he's one of the most busiest ministers that I've ever known in all of the time I've known him. And I'm equally delighted that the hard work that the Right Honourable Liz Truss, our Secretary of State for International Trade, has done, has been absolutely the sort of leadership that we've required. And even during the pandemic, we have seen such positive talks going on between UK and India. And I think that it's testament to her and her leadership and to the Prime Minister for believing that this relationship that we have had for a very, very long time, which is already very strong, is going to be strengthened by the opportunities that are being afforded as we come out of our transition period. Because we see, and I know my colleagues, my colleagues and friends, Jitesh and Karan and Richard from UK IBC, we have not seen a lessening of any interest in the development of wanting to do business between Indian companies from India to the UK and from UK companies wishing to do business in India. But I think the points that you've raised, Sanjeev, the areas of discussion that we've got posing upon us today are really very, very important, is how we're going to be able to ensure that doing business is easy. In the UK, our systems are incredibly slimlined. It's very easy to be able to operate and do business here. And that is why the world wants to come and set up offices here in the UK. And I think part of the work that Prime Minister Modi has done in his first term was to make sure that some of the things that delayed businesses from being able to set up, to start, to engage, have now been removed. And I see the opportunities very much in closer collaboration. Over the last few months, whilst we have been in lockdown, you're absolutely right. Our greater engagement has been on Zoom, on Teams, on WebEx, but we have been able to really achieve a lot more engagement because our travel restrictions have enabled us to be able to engage at very different times of the day. I think many of us are quite Zoom fatigued, but it has allowed us to have that discussion that we may not have always been able to have. And I think that as the person who looks after the subcommittee in the House of Lords looking at goods and post-transition relationships, whilst there are some challenges that, of course, we will all overcome, I think there are greater opportunities. And I think those opportunities have been demonstrated in recent days, particularly, and I'm sure when Karan speaks, Karan will speak from the behalf of the CBI, that the actual interest is how are we going to ensure that we get positive engagement on both sides of being able to get people to move freely, engage freely, and to be able to set up businesses freely. And I think, I'm pretty certain that when I listen to our Secretary of State, who has worked incredibly hard with her team of ministers, that these are the issues that she knows will lead to very, very successful outcomes in the coming days. I'm incredibly optimistic on the collaboration we're going to be able to do on the digital platforms, particularly on collaboration at higher education, because I think university to university and research and development engagement is going to be key to some of our future jobs that we don't have at the moment. They're not even created, but they're in the process of being thought about. And I have always, when in my conversations with the CII, have always promoted the importance of engagement of technical skills, because I think that there are large swathes of the population, both in the UK and in India, where we could engage much, much better where it comes to technical skills. And I do hope that we do take advantage of the fact that we have a common language, we live by common laws, and that we're able to make sure that the opportunities that afford one of the fastest growing economies on the planet, with one of the most easiest to do business in the world economies, which is the UK, that we can actually really harness the great strengths that both countries have. I don't want to take up too much time, because I think that this is an important discussion where, as a member of the House of Lords, prior to that, I have been engaged with India for nearly 3 decades, just over 3 decades. And I used to bring trade delegations to India in the early 2000s. And I think what I saw then was a great appetite for greater engagement. And I know that as a country with our own sovereign rights and the ability to trade outside of the EU, that my colleague and our Secretary of State will ensure that engagement for the SME sector in particular will be now much more greatly harnessed, because the SME sector is agile, is flexible, but it has in the past not been able to take up the opportunities that avail all of us in India. And I hope that likewise we will see the SME sector in India being able to engage equally. And we will be able to do that more so now, because we have got access to some of the greatest digital technology that is required for engagement. If I may, Sanjeev, leave on that note and carry the discussion forward.
Thank you, Baroness Verma. Let me now move to Lord Jitesh Gadia. Lord Gadia is an investment banker and businessman and has been a member of the House of Lords since 2016. He's a board member of the UK Government Investments, the Centre of Excellence for Corporate Finance and Corporate Governance for the UK government, and also serves on the boards of several companies. With 25 years of experience in the financial services sector, he's also a member of the UK-India CEO Forum. Over to you, Lord Gadier.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Namaste and greetings to you and all my long-standing friends at the Confederation of Indian Industry. I'm delighted to be joining this important session today. And before turning to the main topic, I take this opportunity to congratulate CII on celebrating 125 years. Just as 5 Anglo-Indian engineering firms were instrumental in establishing CII in 1895, I hope our futures will be intertwined as much as our past. The discussion about post-Brexit priorities was already well-timed when CII was setting the agenda for this partnership summit, but the latest developments, especially the visible intensification of bilateral relations, makes this session even more meaningful. There has been a flurry of announcements coinciding with Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab's visit to Delhi this week, and confirmation that you mentioned earlier that Prime Minister Boris Johnson will accept Prime Minister Modi's invitation to be chief guest at the Republic Day celebrations in January. And it's the first major bilateral visit for Boris Johnson since taking office, and repeats a similar pattern of prioritization from both his predecessors, David Cameron and Theresa May. So you can see a consistency of commitment from the UK towards India. And it also follows on the heels of the economic and financial dialogue between Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and our Chancellor Rishi Sunak in October, and also the JETCO between Minister Piyush Goyal and our Trade Secretary Liz Truss in July. And we look forward to hearing from both of them later on. I would note that there are broader forces at work here, not just leaving the European Union and reimagining the UK's global engagement, but also the adversity of the pandemic, which has brought the UK and India closer together. In recent months, our two countries have collaborated on multiple fronts, ranging from pharmaceuticals and vaccines to repatriation of citizens. And looking ahead, as the UK prepares to host the delayed COP26 summit on climate next November, the global race to net zero is rising further up the agenda and provides new avenues to work together, as we saw last weekend at the Climate Ambition Summit, where Prime Minister Modi delivered a really inspirational address. And a change of US leadership will also help re-energize multilateral forums such as the G7, which the UK will host next summer, and the G20, which India is hosting in 2022. And these important summits will position the UK and India at the center of global diplomacy. And we welcome the prospect of Prime Minister Modi visiting the UK not just once, but twice in the coming 12 months. So in many ways, we have a mix of 3 factors: Brexit, post-COVID economic recovery, and climate change that are creating some helpful centripetal forces. And these areas chime with the 5 broad areas which Minister Jaishankar talked about this week in the 10-year roadmap to deliver a step change in ambition for India-UK bilateral partnership. And all of this backdrop is definitely helpful. But as someone who comes from the business world like you, Sanjeev, political narratives will only take us so far. We need to move on to concrete plans and practicalities. We have done plenty of scoping and talking over many years, and over the 3 decades or so that Sandy was referring to earlier. So let's get down to brass tacks and nail some quick wins to whet everyone's appetite for more to come. And I therefore wanted to just use the remaining few minutes to unpack some of the specific areas where Brexit or climate change or post-pandemic resilience can create concrete opportunities. I'll obviously defer to the respective trade ministers to deal with the strategic aspects of trade relations, but there are certainly sectors where the EU required the UK to impose tariffs on Indian goods, a relevant example being textiles, where I do hope we can start to use our newfound freedoms. And if you look at the structure of the UK and Indian economies, we share some important similarities, notably a high contribution to GDP from services, about 50% in India and 80% in the UK. And the corollary of this is that human capital is a huge part of the offering for both countries. And the biggest single near-term impact of Brexit is the UK's ability to regain full control of immigration. This means that there will be a level playing field in attracting global talent and the removal of discrimination against India. We also know that there are other frictions on mobility, like mutual recognition of qualifications, or even recognition of specific educational institutions, which would make a real difference to addressing skill shortages for the UK in specific priority areas. And lastly, I wanted to highlight an area of collaboration which is almost independent of Brexit, but still of crucial importance, namely the role of the City of London as the world's financial capital in supporting India's development. And we've already seen this through Masala bonds and also the Green Growth Equity Fund in partnership with the National Infrastructure Investment Fund, which I was pleased to play an early role in conceptualizing. And regardless of where financial services features in any deal with the European Union, London has every prospect of being the global center for green finance. Indeed, this was at the heart of the recent economic and financial dialogue between our finance ministers, and we relaunched the successful India-UK Financial Partnership of industry practitioners, which the current CII President Uday Kotak chairs on the India side, and I am also a member of. There are multiple topics under this umbrella, ranging from how we can help accelerate the development of GIFT City in Gujarat, infrastructure funding, establishing a sustainable finance forum, fintech, mutual market access, including opening up of sectors like insurance, or the new scope for Indian companies to list directly in London. And we're keen to be an attractive venue, especially for the likes of tech companies, and also faster and cheaper UK-India remittances. So in conclusion, I think the stars have definitely come into alignment for the UK and India, but I think we now need a real sense of urgency and specificity. As a wise Jewish scholar once said, if not now, when? And if not you, who? That is the challenge for all of us. So thank you to CII for the opportunity to participate, and look forward to hearing the remarks of other friends and colleagues and Q&A.
Thank you, Lord Gadia, and we reciprocate the last, as you said, the phrase. I now come to two very close and valued institutional partners of CII in the UK. Richard Hell became chair of the UK India Business Council 3 months ago, but was the CEO for 10 years. During his tenure, the UK IBC has rapidly expanded its scope and reach, both in India and in the UK. Before joining that, he worked as vice chairman for Rothschild, South and Southeast Asia, and has over 30 years of experience in international financial markets. Over to you, Richard.
Sanjeev, thank you very much indeed. I would also like to add my congratulations to the CII for their celebrating their 125th anniversary. I'd also, if I may, just add one accolade to my friend Karen Billamoria, who is in fact the founding chair of the UK IBC, founded it back in 2008. But turning to the topic, which I think is extremely relevant and pertinent, I mean, the events of 2020, including Brexit and COVID, have thrown up undoubted challenges, causing us all to think outside the box in terms of our working processes and practices. But it's also caused us to identify new opportunities to reinvigorate collaborations and to streamline our supply chain. Much has been achieved, and as we start to believe that there will be an end to COVID-19, and clearly there will be an end to the transition period, there is a real opportunity to catalyse new ways of strengthening UK-India's bilateral economic relations with all our major parties, but in particular in relation to India. I would like to thank the Secretary of State and also the Honourable Minister for doing me the honour of including me in the briefing that they gave on Monday post their discussions around the enhanced trade partnership. I'm sure that they will be addressing this in their speeches, so I will not go further than that. But what I would say is the discussion and in that meeting gave me this very strong impression that we really are on the cusp of developing something really special in terms of bilateral relations. In simple terms, it appears to me that both India and the UK have rediscovered the great potential of doing business together because of, and not despite, our challenges in 2020. In this context, I think that a focus on the enhanced trade partnership leading to a free trade agreement between India and the UK should indeed be a priority. Indeed, we have so many building blocks already in place. Our companies, as we've heard previously, are by and large comfortable in operating in each other's economies based on historical bilateral FII, FDI and trade flows. We've heard that India is the second largest FDI investor in the UK, and UK remains one of the largest FDI investors in India. At the same time, over 500 companies, UK companies, source, assemble and manufacture in India, directly employing over 600,000 people and representing some 5% of the Indian organised sector. And this does not take into account the more than 2 million people within or dependent upon their indigenous supply chain. And all of this is currently sustained through a combination of improving operating ease of doing business, reforms, as well as WTO rules. Surely that this parallel and existing commitment in each other's economy must be a firm foundation on which to build further established rules-based systems of economic relations between India and the UK, driving further mutually beneficial growth between our two countries. Much has been already achieved in B2B and B2C related activities. And now, from my perspective, what is really encouraging is the strengthening of interactions at a G2D level. UK government and Indian government have been working hard behind the scenes to ensure that India regains its rightful place as a global economic power, evidenced by the concomitant rise in the World Bank Ease of Doing Business rankings, and also its achievement of a permanent seat on the Security Council of the United Nations. The impact of the pandemic and of the end of the transition period post-Brexit has injected a degree of urgency into the acceleration of structural reforms in both India and the UK. There is new life being injected into engagements between our two countries, critically with economic imperatives at the forefront of both governments' minds. These engagements are much more aligned with business needs, and business is supportive. Much focus has been given to the ultimate goal of a free trade agreement between India and the UK. At the same time, much incremental progress has already been made, not least through the efforts made under the joint trade review initiated jointly by then Minister of Commerce and Industry, Sri Nirmala Sitharaman, and by the then UK Secretary of State, Dr. Liam Fox. And now, as we've heard, on the 24th of July, just last, the 14th Joint Economic Trade Partnership, JETCO, the Honourable Minister and the Secretary of State announced their joint ambition to agree an enhanced trade partnership as part of a roadmap that would lead to a future FTA. And this enhanced trade partnership is built on several key sectors: food and drink, information and communications technology, life sciences, chemicals and services. It's quite right that an FTA is the ultimate ambition, yet its achievement will be an iterative process. Indeed, today's FTAs are living documents which adapt to rapidly changing circumstances of economic life. Indeed, my argument is that an FTA are less catalysts of trade, are more enablers, facilitators, and accelerators of action already being undertaken. As such, it is right, in my view, that the focus in the immediate term is on non-tariff barriers to trade and ease of doing business. Surely, the priority should be to make it easier to do business between our two countries, all the more so since such discussions are already based on such firm foundations. As such, the economic and financial dialogue, as my friend Jitesh has outlined, between Minister Sitaraman and Rishi Sunak, Chancellor Rishi Sunak, at the end of October, also forms a critical path in this process. And it's a critical element in this iterative process. As such, the ministerial follow-up meetings as between Secretary of State and the Ministry of Commerce also have renewed support for the enhanced trade partnership. Indeed, with the acceptance of an invitation from Prime Minister Modi by our Prime Minister Boris Johnson to attend the Republic Day on the 26th of January, this is further evidence of confirmation of a stronger bilateral relationship. Indeed, perhaps even an increasing alignment of interests. Upon re-election in 2019, Prime Minister Modi set a goal for India of becoming a $5 trillion economy in the foreseeable future. His ambitions are to create a vibrant indigenous economy with more domestic and sustainable supply chains. At the same time, UK is focused on improving its relations and investments in India, as well as encouraging Indian investments into the UK. I think that the recent announcement by the UK government of a new UK office for investment will support the landing of high value investment into the UK, aligned with key government policies. The government is also working towards areas such as offshore wind, advanced manufacturing, electric vehicles, housing, and major infrastructure projects. Key for both countries in achieving their respective ambitions simultaneously is creating an environment which embraces co-creation in India and deployment in the UK, simultaneous with co-creation in the UK and deployment in India. And I find it very noteworthy that both governments have recently announced similar support for technology development in India and in the UK. Elsewhere, there is increasingly evident alignment of interests. This mutuality of ambitions bodes well for potential common areas of development in digital technology in both India and in the UK, in critical areas such as health tech and ed tech. Moreover, both India and the UK are amongst the world's climate change leaders. India is on the target to reduce its impact on global warming to 2 degrees, thanks to concerted efforts from the Indian government on renewable energy and supported by private investment. And as we've heard, with UK hosting COP26 in November 2021 and heavily investing in wind energy amongst other solutions, there is great room for collaboration here. Indeed, the biofuel hydrogen innovations being developed by SR Group, leveraging its strategic downstream position in the northwest of England, is an excellent example of such of ventures in this critical area. As we move forward, I think UK companies operating in India are overwhelmingly positive on their ability to prosper in India. We have recently published our 5th annual Ease of Doing Business survey in India. Majority of respondents have indicated that Brexit will have no impact on their business in India. In fact, some 31% of respondents indicate that their companies would do more business in India in a post-Brexit environment. These are very positive responses.
आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस वाला कब है?
Indeed, I would further add that overall some 77% of respondents were positive about the self-reliant India mission, believing it represents an opportunity to do more investment and trade with India. These are very encouraging signs of how our two countries can move together. Which endorse finally the sentiments of Lord Guardia. Timeliness is terribly important in relation to moving these initiatives forward. And I'm going to shamelessly take a leaf out of the Honourable Minister's book when he closed his remarks on Monday by quoting an English author. I'm going to be quoting Shakespeare, if I may. Timeliness is important. Julius Caesar, there is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads to fortune. Omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves or lose our ventures. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. I now come to Lord Billimoria, the founder of Cobra Beer, Member of Parliament and President of the Confederation of British Industry. I must mention here that the CII UK office has been housed in the premises of the CBI for several years. Lord Billimoria is also the founding chairman of the UK IBC and a founding member of the Prime Minister of India's Global Advisory Council. In 2006, he was appointed the Lord Billimoria of Chelsea, making him the first ever Zoroastrian Parsi to sit in the House of Lords. In 2008, he was awarded the Pravasi Bharati Samman by the President of India. He has several firsts and awards to his credit. Over to you.
Thank you, Sanjeev, for that very kind welcome, and good morning and good afternoon to everyone in the UK and India attending this wonderful event. I thank the CII at the outset, our sister organization of the CBI, of which I'm proud to be president, and congratulations on your 125th anniversary this year. The CBI is less than half your age. The Confederation of British Industry is 60 years old. And I'm the first ethnic minority origin president of the organization. And I also want to thank my friend Chandri Banerjee, the Director General, Secretary General, Uday Kotak, my counterpart as president, and of course, Sanjeev, you as vice chair of the CII. We've heard from all our speakers about the phenomenal partnership between India and the UK, the bilateral cooperation in trade, investment, technology, innovation, education, and culture. And as has been mentioned, I'm very proud to be the founding chair of the UK-India Business Council. And Minister Liz Truss, your predecessor, in 2003, I was appointed as the UK chair of the Indo-British Partnership, something that had been set up by John Major going back to 1993 and Prime Minister Narasimha Rao. And my counterpart at that time, my Indian co-chair of the Indo-British Partnership, was none other than Narayan Murthy, who became a very good friend. And of course, through Narayan Murthy, I met Rishi Sunak through his daughter Akshata, who's married to Rishi. And of course, now Rishi is our Chancellor, and we are very proud of what this young parliamentarian is doing and achieving here in the UK of Indian origin. So the coming years, we've heard from everyone, it's going to be really exciting. This is the first time the UK, in over 40 years, is able to control its own trade policy. Otherwise, it's all gone through the European Union. We've been able to negotiate our own trade deals. And now is the time when we can recast our relationships with economic partners globally while leveling up prosperity across the country, and with equal energy react to the global environment recovering. This is a global pandemic. Every country in the world has been affected by it. But despite the global pandemic, despite what we're going through, we are looking at a glass half full. And as Sanjeev said earlier on in his opening remarks, the UK-India trade and investment relationship is integral to this. And he spoke about the huge number of Indian companies here in the UK and UK companies in India employing hundreds of thousands of people. And in fact, the CBI, our latest report, Sterling Access 2020, to do with India, highlights that during the lockdown months of April to June, when we were shut down as a country, we had complete lockdown from the 23rd of March to the 4th of July. In spite of that, the UK companies continued to invest hundreds of millions of pounds into India. So trade is a fundamental driver of prosperity. And I think the UK as a country must leverage its strong reputation. We have so much best of the best excellence through our skilled workforce, our innovation, our education system, our connectivity, our infrastructure, and building on our reputation. And many people don't realize this. The United Kingdom, although it's 1% of the world's population, is one of the top 2 or 3 in any year, number 2 or 3, attractor of inward investment in the world. I mean, we're a magnet for inward investment. And post-Brexit, we've got to continue to do that. And we're one of the world's leading countries in entrepreneurship. And that's where the UK and India have so much in common. What happened in 1991 with the liberalization of India, the most important thing that liberalization did was it unleashed the entrepreneurial spirit of India. And that is now broken free. And our two countries with our huge entrepreneurship capabilities need to partner. And of course, for the CBI, the CII is a key partner for this. As has been mentioned, we've got presidency of the G7 next year, and with the UK, and the CBI chairs the associated B7 group. And you've heard as well, we're hosting COP26 in Glasgow. We're partnering with Italy on that. And Prime Minister Modi has been invited to the G7. And here, talking about what Jitesh spoke about, the climate change, the global challenge that is there. We're going to be addressing that in the G20 in 2022 as well. And we can move the dial on net zero, on digital, on inclusivity. And the CII is chairing the B20 in 2022. So the B7 and the B20 can champion business leadership. They can champion job creation. Well, my friend, the Minister, Piyush Goyal, is a fellow chartered accountant. And he is a businessman of huge experience. What better person can you have in that role in one of the largest emerging superpowers as an economy in the world? Piyush, we're very lucky to have you in the role that you're doing in India. And similarly, Liz Truss, my friend, Liz is also an accountant. I think, Liz, you're a management accountant. So a fellow chartered management accountant. I'm a chartered accountant as well. And what you have done in this period building up to the 31st of December in rolling over EU trade deals with countries around the world. People said, oh, we'll never be able to roll them over. We'll never get as good terms because you're talking about 500 million people versus 66 million people. Well, you've done it. And you've done it time and again, whether it's Japan, whether it's Singapore, whether it's Canada. And now just this week, I heard from Ranil, your colleague minister, that Mexico has now been rolled over as well. So bravo to you and congratulations. And we've got British companies in India doing wonderful work during the pandemic. Diageo manufacturing sanitizers, headed by an Indian, by the way, my friend Ivan Menezes. Marks and Spencer's manufacturing PPE kits. We've had a UK subsidiary of Wockhardt here in the UK manufacturing the Oxford University AstraZeneca COVID vaccine in Wales. Isn't that marvelous? And then you've got Oyo, the hotel company offering thousands of rooms for the NHS. Ola, the Indian equivalent of Uber, providing discounted fares for our warriors. I mean, this is absolutely amazing. And the opportunity for India, we've got British infrastructure, healthcare, fintech. These are specialty areas of ours. We can partner. The green industrial revolution that Jitesh spoke about, our Prime Minister's 10-point Green Point plan. The CBI, I've chaired the Heat Commission, which you just reported on how heat contributes 1/3 of greenhouse gases. And we need to address that to reach net zero by 2050. India, with its leadership in solar power, UK's leadership in wind power, we've got a huge opportunity to partner together. But as Jitesh said, there are regulatory bottlenecks we've got to address. And immigration has been one of them at our end in the UK. Now we do not have that net migration target. Now Indian students, Indian academics, Indian tech experts in all areas in business can now come to the UK on equal terms. India's new education policy is a landmark. At long last, foreign universities will be able to open up in India. This is going to be a huge opportunity for Britain and India, because Britain has the best universities in the world along with the United States of America. I'm proud to be Chancellor of the University of Birmingham. We've opened up a campus in Dubai, which is going to open up just before the Expo. We're very proud of that. First Russell Group University, top 100 in the world, opening up in Dubai. We've got an office in Delhi. Look what we can do looking ahead. And talking about partnerships, look at Oxford and AstraZeneca. That partnership has got an Indian dimension. My fellow Parsis, Cyrus and Ada Poonawalla, my close friends with the Serum Institute of India, the largest vaccine manufacturers in the world, have got a 1 billion dose contract with Oxford and AstraZeneca, the vaccine for the world, because it's cheap and affordable, and it can be rolled out at refrigerator temperature, and it's practical. So I conclude by saying that the CBI is an international organization working with global partners, looking forward to partnering with India, our office in Delhi, and I thank our team, Shola and our team in Delhi. I thank the CII, Lakshmi Kaul, who's based here in the UK. The CII office is based within the CBI office, as you've heard. We are partners, and we look forward to partnering together. There is no better time to seize these opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Bilamoria, for those very energizing opening words. May I now invite the Right Honourable Liz Truss to offer her kind remarks.
Well, thank you very much, Chairman, Ministers and the Confederation of Indian Industries for inviting me to today's event. It's a huge honour to appear again with my friend and colleague, Minister Goyal, to talk about our growing trading relationship. And what a burst of energy and enthusiasm we've heard today from businesses on the call. I really think it shows how much potential there is from what is already a large trading arrangement. Particularly this year, we're going into 2021, when the United Kingdom fully emerges as an independent trading nation and has more freedom and flexibility to work more closely with like-minded partners. And of course, India is a very key partnership. We already have a trading relationship of £24 billion, and that continues to grow. And trade between our two great democracies has increased by over 11%, and it supports 500,000 jobs. And we can see the fruits of our flourishing relationship in areas like research, with AstraZeneca and the Serum Institute working together to produce a vaccine for COVID-19 in India, whilst life-saving operations are being carried out in Indian hospitals with British robotics. The UK and India are founding members of the Global Partnership on Artificial Intelligence, and we are pushing together new frontiers in areas like artificial intelligence, driverless cars, and virtual reality through our UK-India tech partnership. I believe that embracing this innovation is going to be absolutely vital as two forward-leaning nations to unleash our full economic potential. The United Kingdom is already the second largest services exporter in the world. We're the home to the third largest number of tech unicorns, billion-dollar tech companies in the world. And of course, India also has a large number of tech unicorns too. Our aim as we develop our own independent trade policy is for the UK to enhance its position as a global services and tech hub, including in areas like green finance that we've just been talking about on this call. And of course, India, with its billion-dollar tech successes and its fintech sector, which we saw double in the last year to $3.7 billion, is an ideal partner for the United Kingdom. I think what's really exciting that as well as both being democracies, we share a belief that it's free trade and enterprise that is going to lead to future prosperity. And as you've commented already on this call, we have the exciting prospect of the Prime Minister travelling to India in January to take our relationship to new heights. And that's why I think today's event is very timely. And what I'm very interested in is hearing from the business and business organisations on this call about exactly how do we make progress on that enhanced trade partnership so that when the Prime Minister does visit in January, Minister Goyal and I have something really significant that our two Prime Ministers can present. And there are huge areas, whether it's exports, investment, or that overall trading relationship, removing market access barriers, that we make progress in. As has been commented already, we have already made substantial headway since the 2019 Joint Economic and Trade Committee, including addressing several market access barriers, such as enabling Welsh lamb to be sold in India. And Minister Goyal and I have already been working on an enhanced trade partnership as part of a roadmap that will lead to a future free trade agreement. What I think the Prime Minister's visit does, though, is it gives us a deadline. I'm sure Minister Goyal and I will be working very hard over the Christmas and New Year period. Minister Goyal's invited me to India for a pre-visit to make sure everything is in place so that the Prime Minister's visit can be as successful as possible, and it launches the enhanced trade partnership with a clear pathway ultimately to a free trade agreement. And there's a lot of pressure on us, isn't there, Piyush, to deliver something really exciting. And there are so many areas we need to work on, whether it's food and drink, pharmaceuticals, data and digital, advanced manufacturing. And we are absolutely committed to working hard on all of those areas. And I think it's really important that at this time, when the world is seeking to recover from the coronavirus crisis, that India and the United Kingdom are showing leadership by enhancing free trade, enhancing enterprise, in enabling our countries to recover and creating that stable economic environment that our businesses need to thrive. Because ultimately what our jobs are about is making sure people across our nations have jobs, opportunities, and prosperity. And that's what we must also remember. Of course, 2021 is also an exciting year because the United Kingdom is leading the G7. And as well as the environment being a key focus in advance of COP26, trade will also be a key focus, and recovering the economy after coronavirus will be a key focus. And I'm absolutely delighted that India has been invited as part of the Democracy 10 to those talks. And I think that it shows, first of all, the importance of our relationship with India, but also the importance of working with like-minded democracies that believe in the rules-based system to help shape the global trading environment. So I think the bilateral relationship with India isn't just important in itself and the benefits that it can bring our respective economies. It's also important in terms of the leadership that we show to the rest of the world as two leading democracies. On the subject of the free trade agreement, we have made progress, but there is more to be done. We need to make sure that we identify how we can make it easier and more efficient to do business. And Minister Goyal and I agree that Indian and British businesses will be the real driving force behind future growth. The fact is that trade ministers can negotiate market access, they can negotiate free trade agreements, but ultimately that is opening the door. And what we need is the businesses to walk through the door, the investors to walk through the door, the exporters to walk through the door. So I want to make sure that our increased frequency of trade talks are accompanied with increased frequency of business visits, and also through teleconferences and video conferences like the one we are on today. Your companies will help us identify the areas we should really focus on in our efforts to deliver the real world results that the next decade demands. And our new trading policy, as well as being important from a bilateral basis, also brings clear and tangible benefits for Indian businesses. So, for example, the new UK global tariff that we laid in Parliament yesterday is twice as beneficial for Indian exports than the EU's existing rules. So there are already benefits that are going to be accrued by Indian businesses on the 1st of January. We've also got improved immigration standards, which are important to Indian businesses, as has been mentioned, with the new points-based immigration system coming into place in 2021. and that will make it easier for skilled workers to migrate to the United Kingdom for work purposes. And through these measures, India continues to benefit from UK actions, and we look forward to greater access to the Indian market for the UK too, because this is about mutually beneficial improvement in our trade relationship. I'd like to congratulate India on the significant progress that has already been made to support business. We have a long-standing partnership on the ease of doing business beginning in 2014. In key areas, progress has been made under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi in areas like regulatory reform, tax administration, trade facilitation and standards. And we've been working closely together to support Prime Minister Modi's vision to see India amongst the most world, bringing us into more shared prosperity and closer UK-India regulatory partnerships. And of course, that is something that will be the key part of a free trade agreement, is enhancing those relationships even further. As we work towards a potential FTA, we're committed to listening to businesses on both sides and providing the conditions that you need for a green economic recovery and a prosperous future. So I'd very much like to thank everybody for participating in the session today. I think you can see that there's real momentum behind this relationship, and next year I think is going to be even more exciting for the UK-India relationship than 2020. Minister Goyal and I are committed to working together to accelerate the relationship and investment partnership and enable our two countries to reach the full potential that this relationship should have. Thanks very much for inviting me on the call today.
Thank you, Minister, for your kind words towards joint prosperity. May I now invite our Honourable Minister, Shri Piyush Goyal, who is the chairman of this Partnership Summit 2020, to offer his kind remarks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sanjeev Bajaj, Vice President, CII. Her Excellency, the Right Honourable Elizabeth Truss, Secretary of State for International Trade and President of the Board of Trade and Minister for Women and Equalities, United Kingdom. Baroness Sandeep Verma, Member of Parliament of the United Kingdom and Member, EU Parliamentary Committee. Also Chair, Parliamentary EU Goods and Subcommittee, UK. Lord Jitesh Kadia, Member of Parliament, UK. Lord Karan Bilimoria, Member of Parliament and President of the Confederation of British Industry, UK. Mr. Richard Hill, Group Chair, UK-India Business Council. And Mr. Sanjeev Bajaj, Vice President of CII. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your very warm comments and very encouraging response to our invitation to participate in this post-Brexit UK and India session as a part of the larger Partnership Summit that CII in its 125th year is hosting. May I begin a quote from the famous Roman philosopher Seneca, who said, and I quote, "One of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood." And I think over the last few months that I have had several rounds of engagement with you, Ms. Truss, I believe we've begun to understand each other. Both India and UK are at that cusp of transition. You as you exit the EU, we as we move towards the next level of an India which wishes to emerge much stronger, which wishes to emerge more resilient, which wishes to become a confident economy working with the rest of the world under our Atmanirbhar Bharat, the Self-Reliant India program, and which wishes to become a trusted partner. Companies and countries which are looking for rules-based and honest businesses. I believe UK and India are poised to work together, and this relationship between India and the UK, which is bound by strong ties of history and culture, makes us natural partners in trade, commerce, and even the geopolitical relationship going forward. We've had a wonderful set of meetings with the Foreign Secretary, Mr. Daniel Raab, who met my Foreign Minister, met the Honorable Prime Minister to discuss several themes to elevate our strategic partnership to the next level. While, of course, we are looking at connecting people, trade and prosperity, defense and security, climate change, and health as natural areas of our partnership. But we also hope to deliver the enhanced trade partnership on which you and I have been working over the last few months. If I may quote Foreign Secretary Mr. Raab 2 days ago, UK and India have an invaluable and indispensable partnership, and we look forward to strengthening it in the years ahead. I have no doubt in my mind that this ambition for a closer relationship over the next 10 years is poised to happen. I'm sure these frequent engagements and multi-pronged deliberations that we have been having will truly expand the stretch and depth of our mutual understanding to recognize how we can address the needs of our people in a mutually beneficial manner. We are really very excited to be hosting your Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Mr. Boris Johnson, as chief guest on the 71st Republic Day celebrations next year. This will be his first bilateral visit, but I'm sure it'll be a turning point in our historical relationship. We believe that together we can reboot and reset the economies of the United Kingdom and India and set us back on the right track. The time-tested relationship between our two countries needs to be reinvigorated. And I'm delighted that you and I have this opportunity, along with our colleagues from the political spectrum, the business spectrum, and, if I may venture to add, also the social spectrum, particularly considering that you will be hosting COP26 next year as its president. I think we have a large dimension of relationships which we can expand in the months and years to come. We have agreed to work together in several areas, be it education, be it healthcare, be it our trade partnership, be it our effort to have easier movement of people between the two countries, larger investment flow from India to UK and UK to India. All of these different tracks on which we are working hold great promise. And I can assure all the participants in this CII Partnership Summit 2020 that we are looking at it like a 2020 match. We are not looking at a test match. We are not even looking at a one-dayer. This is a 50 over one-dayer. This is a day and night match and a 2020 match. And I don't know what the latest statistics are, but I can assure you we have very fast bowlers on both sides. We have very efficient batsmen on both sides. We are both going to play well. We are both going to play to the best of our abilities. Only difference is that, like in the game of sport, you win some, you lose some. We are working together to make it a win-win, where the result of the 2020 match is going to be a finely balanced draw. And that, I promise you, is going to be the outcome of our discussions, our accelerated discussions. I think Liz and I are talking probably the third time in the span of 1 week. That's the level of engagement for the rest of you to No. And we are deeply committed to the success of this partnership. We have a lot of, if I may say, arguments also. In any case, we in India are often called very argumentative Indians. I don't know about the British. Sometimes they're called obstinate British. I don't know. I hope I'm not saying anything undiplomatic or unparliamentary, Baroness. But the idea I'm only trying to project here is we will both work to the best of our abilities. We will be argumentative. We'll work with great difficulty protecting each other's interests. But the outcome will be very sweet. The outcome will be very focused and beneficial to the people of both countries. With so many positive things happening at such short notice, I am extremely hopeful that these discussions will truly give us outstanding results. We have already had some successes in the Indo-UK fast-track mechanism. I believe 14 cases were taken up, of which 8 have already been resolved, 6 are making good progress. The UK-India Startup Launchpad is at an early stage but is also showing promising results. We hope tech startups will receive assistance under this program. We can help them in capacity building, policy advocacy, and deepen the entrepreneurial connect with UK. We hope the West Midlands India Partnership will enhance the UK-India relations and boost tourism, trade and investment between the West Midlands and India. The Access India program will support small and medium UK enterprises in accessing the Make in India initiative. So there are a lot of possibilities, and let us all work together to help evolve this relationship to make it a very, very outcome-oriented relationship. And I assure you that both countries are working with a common goal. The UK's new global tariff, which comes into force 2 weeks from now, will serve as a building block towards an increasingly open trade partnership. And I hope that that will boost trade flows. I also hope that the early harvest proposition of India within the framework of a larger free trade agreement, which we are working towards, will be accepted by the United Kingdom and will help us grab the low-hanging fruits so that both sides can enjoy the taste of wonderful fruits on both sides. India is working to build a new India, and we are taking decisions with determination. We are acting with ambition, and we are building better relations with resolution. With a series of structural changes and reforms, I believe India is emerging as the land of promise and prosperity. India's system today supports rapid growth of businesses. We are providing a stable government, availability of adequate land, skilled local manpower, quality utilities like electricity and gas, friendly economic policies, rule of law, easy investment framework, and predictable regulatory practices. We are open to new ideas. We are open to change. Significant progress is being made in simplifying procedures, liberalizing the market, and implementing effective and transparent processes to attract foreign investment. We are working with a deep focus on a genuine single window, which will help businesses engage with government and regulatory authorities in a very seamless and simple manner. We are trying to create manufacturing clusters, improvise our special economic zone policy with plug-and-play infrastructure, fast-tracking investments, further liberalizing our FDI policy and procedures, and deregulating several sectors to encourage greater international engagement. We have launched production-linked investment schemes for several sectors, which incentivizes manufacturers to make in India for the world. Both Indian companies and international companies are welcome to participate in these initiatives. As Sir Isaac Newton had said, and I quote, "We build too many walls and not enough bridges." I think we are at that point of time, at that cusp in our relationship between UK and India, where we are breaking the walls and building bridges. I invite businesses in UK and India to join us in our effort to build stronger and deeper bonds of friendship and trust. I'm right now sitting in the Rail Bhavan, the office of the Indian Railways, a legacy left by the British, a 160-year-old legacy, which I am trying to modernize, change, make it more contemporary, improve systems, and make it a world-class railway. It's going to be the world's first 100% electrified railway of such a large size. Going further, and since, Madam, you're going to be chairing COP26 next year, the Indian Railways will be the world's first railway of this size and scale, which will be a net zero railway by 2030. We are planning to invest in 20 gigawatt of renewable energy so that all our energy needs are met by renewable energy. We have improved our safety record so that in the last 21 months, not one single passenger of the railways has died because of a railway accident. I hope we can continue this track record of change, modernization, improved passenger services. Our speed of freight trains today is 95% faster than what it was 1 year ago. So we are effectively doubled our speed of freight trains. Certainly, COVID provided us with a crisis, but the Indian Railways and the government of India focused all its efforts to convert it into an opportunity. Let's also convert the current period of difficulties, whether it's health difficulty, whether it's your Brexit problem or our change to a new India that we are working on. Let's grab this opportunity to make this a defining century of mutual relationship and trade between UK and India. My best wishes to Ms. Truss, all the colleagues from UK and India who have joined on this session, and congratulations CII on this wonderful 4-day partnership summit. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for your continued support as always. And Piyush ji, if I can ask you the first question. We all know how India has improved significantly in the ease of doing business rankings, and this is opening up avenues for inward investments. Which sectors do you think can be most attractive for UK investments into India? And what is the hand-holding that UK investors can expect to receive? I think you're on mute, Minister.
Sorry. Thank you, Sanjeev. I think that's a wonderful question. On the top of my head, I think a few areas where we already have a lot of engagement, like defense, like production in the food and agri sector, particularly in processed food and related products, beverages. Our cooperation on chemicals holds a lot of promise. We have identified 6 or 7 sectors between India and the UK where we've had focused engagements. And I think all these priority sectors be they drugs and pharmaceuticals, food and drink, petroleum and natural gas, fintech, and the ecosystem around technology, all of chemicals, defense manufacturing, all of these have huge promise, and Invest India is the one-stop shop. It's just been voted the world's most efficient, I don't know the exact wording, but UNCTAD, the UNCTAD, has assessed the investment promotion agencies from across the world and given Invest India the first rank as the best investment promotion agency. Invest India will be very happy to assist any UK companies through the life cycle, right from their first call, with an intent to even consider India for their business. We will be happy to handle them through their life cycle of coming into India, setting up base in India, working in India. Thank you.
Thank you. My next question is to Minister Truss. The UK has been recognized as the global financial capital and is a hub for capital raising for so many countries, including many businesses from India. Post Brexit, as UK strikes or works towards striking an enhanced trade partnership with India, what would you say could be specific preferential incentives or offers that UK could have for India as it continues to stay as the preferential financial hub to the world?
Well, thank you. First of all, I'd say we're not complacent. And I think the way that you continue to succeed is continue to do new things, innovate, and be open to competition and ideas from the rest of the world. So in the free trade agreements we're negotiating, we're looking for advanced financial services chapters. You'll have seen that in our recent agreement with Japan, but particularly ones that focus on areas like data and digital, and embedding those into some of our financial services and regulatory discussions, because fintech is such a growing strength of the United Kingdom, but it's also a growing part of the global market. And of course, India is also very strong in the fintech area. So I would see areas like improved regulatory dialogue, areas like mutual recognition of professional qualifications, but also the embedding of some of those data and digital areas into a financial services chapter as a priority. And what I'm keen to do is, alongside the enhanced trade partnership, be looking at deepening our investment relationship at the same time, which is, of course, already very strong.
Thank you, Minister. Going back to Minister Goyal, you brought about the analogy of the T20 match towards this trade partnership between the two countries. You know, if I may say so, if I may risk saying so, the Indian in the earlier generation was the argumentative Indian. The Indian in my generation is the impatient Indian. So I have to ask you, what is the possible timeline for this trade deal with the UK, and what role can the services sector, which is, as the Minister Truss also mentioned, is such a big sector across both our countries, what role can the services sector play in such a trade deal?
Thank you, Sanjeev. Undoubtedly, one would love to put a timeline to it, but I think free trade agreements are very complex negotiations. You have to really look into the crystal ball and look far and deep within to see what its impact will be over several years going forward. You have to look at various implications of every decision taken in a free trade agreement. India, of course, has many free trade agreements of the past, but has become wiser after some of those and how they rebounded or how they worked, the successes and the complications they caused. So considering our past experience, we'll have to really look at every free trade agreement very carefully. But both Minister Truss and I have built up a very strong working relationship. We are looking at fast tracking it. We are looking at both possibilities of trade in goods, services, and investments being a part of this enhanced trade partnership. We are looking at an option to see if it can be as I said, the low-hanging fruit can be converted into an early harvest agreement. When it's bilateral between two countries, you can be much more liberal in your give and take. When it's through MFN-based decision making, it's even more complicated to really satisfy each other's requirements. So we are keeping all that in mind. I would be very pleased if we can come up with an early harvest kind of agreement within next year. That would be a fantastic achievement. The free trade agreement, my own sense is, cannot be done faster than probably a couple of years, if not 3. But because that would have too many, much more dimensions in terms of looking at investment processes, looking at what greater role in services. But you never know. Looking at the opportunities, let's say video conferencing has provided us, thanks to COVID. I'm happy to do a weekly engagement between the officials on both sides, working on parallel sessions on different products and do it much faster. So we'll both be meeting soon and trying to see how we can put some deadlines to it. Thank you.
Thank you. And your government has surprised us with its speed of action on many counts. So I'm sure this will be 80-20, and we look forward to that. Let me move to Lord Bilimoria and to another important topic. You have been an ardent campaigner of student mobility between the UK and India, and you spoke about it a little bit in your opening remarks. But how do you view the educational partnerships, the opportunity for future skills and immigration that can shape up between our countries in a post-Brexit world? Over to you, Lord Bilimoria.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Sanjeev. I mean, the potential is enormous. We now have brought back the 2-year post-graduation work visa for foreign students. And the moment that was announced, I'll give one university, I think it's the University of Exeter, the number of students from India applications increased by 312% just on the announcement of that. So this is a great news. For PhD students, it's 3 years they can stay on and work in the UK after they finish their studies. So I think the Chinese are our #1 students. I'm also head of all the international students in the UK, 450,000 of them. I'm president of UKISA. But India always used to be the second highest. Now it's going to be very much the second highest. And I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes the largest number of international students in the UK. And the academic research, UKERI, which we launched through the UK-India Roundtable, that's gone into phase 3 of academic to academic research between UK and India universities. And the Minister, Piyush Goyal, mentioned about the Indian Railways. I was in India in February with the University of Birmingham, and we have a partnership with the Indian Railways. We're working with the new Railway College because the University of Birmingham won a Queen's Award for our Railway Institute, and we've just got a functioning hydrogen train in the UK, in the Midlands, running as we speak. So we look forward to partnering with India on achieving the railways being net zero by 2030. We're right there with you. So lots of potential.
Thank you so much. And let me get to Richard. Richard, we've talked a lot about the opportunities of this potential partnership, enhanced, I would say, economic partnership between the two countries. What would be some of the challenges that you believe leaders on both sides need to watch out for as they work towards making this partnership stronger?
Thank you. I think that the clear thing is that there is a definition around the sectors, which both the Honourable Minister and the Secretary of State have outlined as to what those sectors are under the enhanced trade partnership. But also below that, it's to focus on what are the deliverables within those sectors. And it's coming back to this point of focusing on outcomes that are tangible and that are medium-term to short-term achievables. So focus in areas such as COP26 is tremendously important, looking at sustainable development and infrastructure and renewables. This is something that is tremendously important in order to create confidence to build on the ETP and to build on it in such a way that one can take it forward into the free trade agreement discussions. That for me is the absolute key focus, is outcomes.
Thank you, Richard. We have 5 minutes, so I'm going to try for 2 quick questions. One with Lord Gadia. As a member of Parliament, you are faced with a series of debates on UK's EU exit and how it will impact trade relations with the rest of the world. Does India fare in such discussions? And if so, what should our two countries focus on?
Look, I think, obviously we're at quite a critical, sensitive moment in those discussions. But the reality is that, in all honesty, there isn't I believe, a significant impact which Indian companies should be concerned about. And that's simply for the reason that, a lot of Indian companies, and you've heard the statistics, 800 odd Indian companies already operating in the UK quite successfully. If there is a need, or if there was a requirement for them to set up parallel operations in Europe, in most cases that's been done, certainly in financial services, which I know intimately, those preemptive measures have been taken. And therefore, what is most important, I think, for the Indian companies that I speak to, and I've been involved in tens of billions of pounds of cross-border investment flows between the two countries, is actually often things to do with mobility. So migration that we've been talking about. It's to do with the ability to access and enhance local financing structures. So there's a lot of things that Indian companies have at the top of their mind, which frankly is not directly related to the EU. And in fact, I think it's imperative on us to identify those things that were previously an issue. So clearly there were some categories of tariffs that the EU required us to impose on India differentially to its neighbors in South Asia, which obviously can be addressed. And frankly, other areas where we also need to keep a constant eye on our ease of doing business. And that's something I'm sure that both the Secretary of State and other ministers are very conscious of, including Alok Sharma at the Department of Business.
Thank you. I have a very quick last question, 30-second question. I'm sorry to Baroness Verma. Are small and medium businesses from India, what can they look forward to as an attractive destination in the UK?
So Sanjeev, can I just flip that a little bit, because the Right Honourable Minister talked about the West Midlands. I would like to encourage him to also look at the East Midlands, which is a dynamic place of some of the best leading businesses of the UK, and where we have got phenomenal parliamentarians who are actively engaging with the very large Indian diaspora. So I think for the small and medium-sized businesses, let them look at the Midlands as a whole, but particularly because I am from the East Midlands, to look at how we can work together. And I know the Secretary of State and the government are very keen that businesses across the UK on our levelling up agenda, where we do get investment across the country, will be incredibly pleased to welcome businesses to the East and West Midlands.
Thank you so much, and for that very quick answer. We've run out of time, so I will not summarize, I think, the wide-ranging, interesting discussions we've had today. But thank you once again to both honourable ministers and our other esteemed guests on the panel. Look forward to seeing you physically next year at our next CII Partnership Summit. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you very
Ms.
much.
Ross. Lovely meeting you again.
All the very best. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right.